Fine.
Perfect. Well, I mean, let's see if Oriana plays some mech then, maybe. I don't know. In the bottom
Yeah.
right, a blue Terran, Oriana from Mystery Gaming.
Mystery indeed. And on the top left-hand side for Sidestorm Gaming, he is Has. Has.
Has. So yeah, this is gonna be a well, this is gonna be a I think a wild one because we expect Has to be pretty wild. We expect Has to be quite a solid player, honestly, right? All around, and yes, he kind of goes for the crazy sort of things. And to me, he's just going to test Oriana in a big way. We're going to get to see a lot of whether Oriana can kind of stand up to the kind of madness and craziness. Oriana looked pretty good in the matches so far. Particularly excited then to see if he can level up and step up to bring it to Has a little bit.
Yeah, Has, of course, a veteran, has been around since the very beginning. One of my favorite opponents back in the day. I remember a game in particular where I was expanding. I was going 3 hatch before pool, I think like in Wings of Liberty or very early in the game. And he would just cannon rush my base and cannon rush my base. And then I just kept taking bases and he kept cannon rushing them. And it was like this game where I didn't have a spawning pool. And I had like 5-6 different bases all getting cannon rushed. It was so awesome. But that is my experience with Has in a nutshell. Got to play him more recently in Nation Wars like a few years ago. And that was some bangers.
Yeah.
Of games and series. Yeah, I mean, it is just so fun to play against him in that matchup. But I think in PvT, he reels it back a little bit. Like, I think cannons are not effective in this matchup. So he's less crazy, right? And
I think in
yet
PvT...
still very exciting.
Yeah, I think in PvT, he really used to be a lot wilder. And nowadays, he's a bit more like... You can kind of be very aggressive without having to be like super crazy off one base or something, right? So you can still go for like charge kind of styles and like be everywhere and take weird bases without having to kind of do it all, like I say, off of one base. So, yeah, maybe just a little bit calm, but still kind of even his mid-game can have elements of, like, mad, chaotic kind of style to it. So, we'll see what he gets up to Stargate Open to begin with here. And on the other side, it's just an expansion, a factory, and pretty much everything you could expect kind of to be normal with at the moment from Oriana.
Oriana Grande. He is chilling for the time being. And, yeah. The Reaper will poke. We'll see not much at the natural. And yeah, let's see what the first unit is going to be from Has here. Kind of unpredictable. I would never expect a Void Ray.
Yeah.
Probably one of the other two.
Yeah, one of the other two. Phoenix has been very popular. Obviously, an Oracle can still be a solid way to open in PvT. But a Phoenix, and if we continue into Phoenix and just play Phoenix Colossus, this might be the most boring Has style I've ever seen. Like, it's solid, it's good, it's just when I see Has, that's not what I expect, and a Twilight Council going down. That's what I'm talking about, cats.
Okay.
Let's go to something crazy after this Phoenix.
Yeah, it's already kind of crazy, right? To diversify this fast into and to kind of bifurcate into 2 different tech paths. This might be a single Phoenix for the mind game or something like that. As he sends it out and there's not a second in production.
Yeah. I mean...
could pick up, yeah, nice.
Like an Oracle into a Twilight, and playing Oracle into Blink is kind of normal, but Phoenix into Blink is, like I said, I think definitely a bit of a mind game to it. If that is the plan, show a Phoenix, use it to get a lift and whatever, and then maybe your opponent assumes it's just more stacking up and staying defensive, when in reality it's Blink. And if you pick the wrong fight here, you could go very badly for you. So this Reaper Scout's very important from Oriana, getting in to see the Twilight Council and to see this switch up. That is a big scout in this early game.
Huge. Sees the chrono boost, sees the lack of production from the Stargate. So Oriana getting all the information of this mind trickery on the side of Has, who was looking to pull a fast one, and instead Oriana's going to be able to adapt and do whatever he needs to do or feels he needs to do against Blink. Not usually the best choice to go for these continued production of the Cyclones. Instead, tanks more advisable, but he just let that finish, right? It's not like he was not even gonna go for tanks.
Yeah, I was sure he's gonna go for at least one siege tank after this, but nope, just gonna go and move that factory off, which I think could end up being a mistake, right? Because you see Has is setting up with all of the aggression, 4th gateway coming up. It's gonna be heavy pressure from him, and I'm not immediately convinced by what Oriana has here to defend against this, so I think this could get a little weird and a little difficult for our Terran.
Yeah, I mean, a Raven doesn't seem like the best choice either, right? It's not the type of unit that's going to help you too much against Stalkers. Disabling those is not going to do much. The turret is not going to help out much. And Yeah, I mean, I don't love it. The first Widow Mine will also go down here. The Cyclone still proving worth something, and we can see that the Phoenix also has a place in the build order. It's not just a mine game, but also the spotting unit here for the blink on forward, which seems very dangerous on the side of Haas. That was scouted, but Oriana just not reacting properly, and I don't see the pieces here to hold this.
Yeah, I don't at all. I just don't understand why you need a siege tank, man. Like, to me, it's that simple. And obviously, Oriana kind of felt differently as our Stalkers will go through that starport. A couple more Marines already going down. The extra Stalkers will blink up into the main base. I mean, we can blink down here at this point as well. And obviously, if you blink down, the Stalkers in the low ground are going to join the fight anyways. But still a way off stim and combat shield. And, man, I mean, you don't even push Oriana Haas out of the main, right? So if you don't even push him out of the main base, what do you really expect? The Phoenix actually lifts up one of the Marauders, taking the heavier hitter against the Stalkers out of the way. And that's just going to be everything blasted here. Haas will overwhelm the main and win game 1.
Yeah, it almost feels like Oriana had the wrong read, because now starts a tank, so he or she seems to agree with us that the tank is probably the best way to go about it, but just, I mean, saw the chrono boost onto the Twilight Council, so I'm surprised. Maybe expected charge or something like that instead, but also saw 2 Stalkers. So I feel like he had all the information he needed. I was even surprised that he didn't cancel that. What, you know, like there was a Cyclone that was like maybe 25% of the way done when that happened, and I thought cancel the Cyclone, make a tank, but he finishes the Cyclone, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Start a tank now, and then switches off the factory off of the tech lab, and it's just impossible from then on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you, man. He saw everything he needed to see. I don't think it's more complicated than that. And I do agree, maybe you could have thought it was charged, but then why would there not be more Phoenix on the way, right? I think that's also just the tell there too. You know, yes, you saw 2 Stalkers as well. There's just so many things to basically tell you, I think, that this was what it was going to be, and I think fair to say that this was just not the right response from Oriana, and unfortunately that means a game 1, well, not unfortunately, but unfortunately for Oriana, a game 1 going to Haas when there wasn't even a contest there, quite frankly. Like, if you don't do the right thing, you're going to end up in a bad place, and that's exactly what happened. Oriana had absolutely no chance. Haas, yeah, had to micro it out properly and everything, but, you know, even though using the Phoenix to, like, lift up a Marauder to help edge the fight into your favor and everything, I mean, there was a long time where this was essentially just pure Marines against Stalkers, and that's never going to work out well.
Yeah, and the Raven, like, what does it do? You know, they dropped an auto turret, and it didn't even participate in the fight, the auto turret, because the Stalkers just walked away from it. So it's like you have a dead starport, you have a dead factory, you don't have medevacs, you have a Widow Mine that gets picked off right away, and then, yeah, it's just Marines. Yeah, this was impossible for Oriana, just conceptually, despite having all the right information, just making the wrong decisions, and this was not a promising game 1 for his debut, as far as I'm concerned, right? Like, never seen Oriana play, and yeah, now I almost wish I never had.
Wow, God. Little brutal.
Too much.
No, I think, I get it, though, right? Like, I feel like it's like you come into this, like, you know, you're 1-1, you've, you know, already shown some prowess in this group, and I know Haas is good, but he's also 1-1, and for a reason. And that was just, like I say, like, you had the scout, and if we hadn't had the Reaper go in the main base, and he'd just been, like, caught off guard, we would have been saying, oh, it's so unlucky, like, cool mind game from Haas and everything, but he got the scout, he put in the work he needed, and when you get those scouts and those opportunities, you got to make the most of them. You can't just lose out in that moment, because then you're wasting chances. You know, what if in game 2 you don't get the scout and Haas hits you with something you don't expect, right? Then, you know, that's one of your better chances already gone down the drain, and you don't get it. You just got to make the most of it when you get it. So, yeah, just not a great game from Oriana. I think we can all agree on that one, and just hoping for more and better in game number 2.
Yeah, Babylon might be the stage to make that happen. Oriana still has a lot to prove here, I think, on this stage, and let's see if they can make it happen. I really hope for a better game.
Yeah. It's plain and simple. We just want better StarCraft right here in the ESL SC2 Masters, as we are going to go diving on into our map number 2. We're going to start off in the top left-hand corner, where the red Protoss player from Sidestorm Gaming sits. It is Haas.
And needs to grow into grande size in the bottom right-hand side for gaming, Oriana.
I didn't even think about that. name pun, but I like it.
Thank you, thank you. Oriana Grande. What is Oriana Grande's best songs? I can't even think about any.
I have no idea. That is an artist that came around at a point where if you played the music, I'd probably recognize the song, but I have no idea who sung it, you know?
She has a song where...
There's a song called... I actually can't remember.
Oh, Thank You Next, I think is by Oriana Grande, right?
I have no idea, still no idea.
Thank You Next. Yes. Thank You Next. It's that song where she thanks her exes, but now she's happy that she found like a new love, and it's herself.
Yeah. I didn't. I do know. See, I know it. I just couldn't have told you it was Ariana Grande.
Well, let's see if Oriana can do that and find some self-love here too.
Some self-love.
Yeah.
Actually reacting to what you scout. Oh, I'm so good.
Much needed. Yeah. There is a Reaper here on the way. No real space for an add-on, so we'll have to lift the barracks just to account for any shenanigans that Haas might bring, which is very fair, right? Haas could be proxying a gateway and going for a Zealot or something like that. Not beneath him.
Yeah, no, I mean, Haas is absolutely... You know, those kind of builds as well, you know, where Haas can take a little bit of control early and just play those situations he's very comfortable in and make his opponent feel uneasy, I think is a big part of what Haas usually likes to do as well. Absolutely down for if you wanted to do anything of that. Obviously, he doesn't here, but I think Oriana fine to respect that. And honestly, so much you can do. Go and double gas before you expand as a Terran as well. You know, it does give you faster factory, it does give you a faster starport, wouldn't mind drop hits sooner. So I really do believe that it kind of sets you up to still have a chance to maybe take control earlier. And maybe that's what Oriana needs. You know, not just have a scout early, but also get in there, do some damage, and maybe get the gameplay in his own way. And then if you get the gameplay in your own way, you can maybe just feel that much more comfortable, do that much better. Haas opening with the Robo, which is not the most common of PvT openers, but is something that we've seen used more and more over the last, I'd say at this point, about 6 weeks. Hero had a little phase of doing this very frequently. Creator picked it up, and it's something that's really taken off more in the Korean server than European. But the cool thing about this is, while it can be very safe with an Observer, it can be a bit of pressure with a Prism. It can lead into so many things. You can like 8-gate all in. You can just, you know, pop out a couple of Immortals and do something funky there. You can rush Robo Bay. There's a lot of options with the Robo, and yeah, you don't have the mobility and the utility of like Phoenix or Blink, but it's got a very good foundation to play off of, so we'll see what Haas exactly wants to do. For now, 2 more gates and an Obs. I would be very surprised if we don't see a Warp Prism at some point to get some presence on the map.
Yeah, I mean, Haas already was scouting for proxies as well. We can see that he's not particularly well versed at that. Like there's like, you know, like some random spots that weren't scouted and the probe is just kind of sitting there for the longest time as it now decides to drop a pylon and do the Haas thing right next to this Raven creature.
Raven creature? Oh, the Arubu?
Arubu.
It's more like you think that's Raven-like?
Right? From far away, I thought so, but now that you zoom in on it,
I will zoom as far as possible. Oh yeah, a little bit Raveny from over here. I see.
Yeah, see. But from close, it's like a dodo, right? Like, is that an animal, dodo?
Yeah, an extinct one.
In Spanish, I think it's called a dodo.
Okay. I mean, it's well, I'm just gonna call it an Aruba. I don't know what kind of bird it actually is, but it is one. It is a bird, as we do have Cloak, Banshees, Tank. I mean, a lot of high DPS units coming out here, so I don't really love this for Haas, because I don't think there's going to be the power for him to break through. I think there's absolutely the power for Oriana to hold this off and then maybe counterattack. Let's see.
Let's see. I mean, this bunker could get focused down right away. Option to cancel it, but not going to be taken from Oriana here. Now the Banshee is here, and it does have Cloak in 25% away, but there is already an Observer here sieged for Haas. The tank will siege on the high ground, and 5 SCVs have already fallen, which feels like a little bit too much, right? Given that could have evacuated a little bit faster. That bunker didn't need to go down. Could have been cancelled as well. So maybe Oriana feeling the pressure a little bit here. Would almost like for this Banshee to cross the map if Oriana is aware of the Observer, and I think he should be, just given the Stalkers firing from the low ground low of that Banshee. Nice.
Yeah, but Haas is prepping for it as well. He's getting a couple Stalkers back at home. He's getting a battery up and online. And does he have another Obs? Not yet. So he still needs detection back at home. That's the one thing he is missing out on here. Gonna realize it now, but that's just a case of getting the Robo active again. Observer starts up. Yeah, I really felt like Oriana actually probably could have just not lost the natural, honestly. I feel like there was not really a need to let the pros walk straight in. Everything just being in the main base there felt like you've got a tank, you've got so many marines, you've got a bunker setting up. I just feel like you could have contested the low ground more from Oriana, but now Haas is poking around, taking some tank shots, and that ain't gonna go too well.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt like Oriana got caught a little bit off guard with the bunker not finished and whatnot. Maybe thought he had a little bit more time there. And yeah, unfortunate. But I mean, does find a little bit of damage. I feel like could have also picked off an extra probe or two before the battery was done, given that the Banshee was taking no damage. There was obviously no observer, but preserves all of its HP and now joins with her sister here. So maybe still an opportunity for Oriana to stabilize and maybe even pull ahead economically. But he is lagging for 13 workers for the time being. It's so difficult for me to say he when his name ends in an A. It's just my Spanish
because
brain.
feminine ending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that as the stalkers poke the Banshee away to the corner. 6 probes though. I mean, that's decent damage, and it does, not just decent but necessary damage, because those Banshees, had they done nothing, you mentioned Oriana was down, 13 workers or so. Now it's only 7. It's so much more manageable. So definitely looking better there as Haas gets some upgrades finishing. His own charge about to be done, which allows him to arguably maybe try and take a fight. I'm not sure if we really want to go into the natural just because we have charge. I mean, we still have a ton of stalkers that do not have a blink or a way to kind of speed up and engage into the fight, into that position. So not convinced. I mean, he continues to warp in aggressively. We'll see if Haas truly commits here.
Yeah, I mean, difficult to commit up this ramp. It almost seems ill-willed, but maybe, I mean, Haas is so tricky and so used to all-in that maybe this is gonna work regardless. Oh, the first tank does survive for a couple of volleys there, but the War Prism in the main is actually rather nasty, and Stim is only 75% of the way done, which means a lot of the damage output here missing. The SCV buffer is not gonna do enough. The Zealots do get choked up to where only 2 are firing, but that seems to be plenty, as Oriana does right to move on to the Stalkers and the Sentry, but there's just not enough here. And Haas will close out a game that he didn't need to close out yet. He was on 3 base, he was sitting comfortably, but the pressure just kind of kills Oriana, and